everyone, and welcome to Time and Money Mastery. We are your co-hosts. I'm Indiana.
And I'm Sam. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of our episodes. Now, let's get started.
So today's episode is a chance for you to get to know us, what we're all about, and why we chose to start this podcast. So I'm Indiana. I'm 25 from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. And Sam, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Sam. I am 24 years old and I'm from Sydney, Australia. We actually met, I don't even know what the year was. We met when we were 5 years old. Were we 5 or were we 4? In like kindergarten in primary school here in Sydney, back when Indy was living here. And we reconnected, was it like 2 years ago maybe, on Instagram? Was it 2 years ago? That feels like, it feels so strange because like we were talking about it the other day about how we literally were friends when we were 5 and then we didn't speak for like the majority of our lives. And now I feel like we speak every single day. So
yeah, it's so bizarre because obviously kindergarten, I can barely even remember that, but I have very vivid memories of like a couple of people and you're one of them. And I remember when I came across you on Instagram, I was like, oh my goodness, this girl looks exactly the same. Like she has not changed one bit.
Oh my God, I would take that as the biggest compliment. I love that so much. Yeah, I was literally going to say the same. Like I don't keep in contact with very many people from primary school. But like when I saw you on Instagram, I was like, I knew exactly who you were, despite the fact that like it was you. Like I mean, like obviously you look exactly the same, but like enough that I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember this girl from forever and ever ago. But anyway, so Time and Money Mastery. Why did we choose the name of this, like this as the podcast? Do you want to give them some insight, Indy?
Yeah, so over the last sort of 6 months or so, I've really dived deep into the whole concept of making money work for you. So kind of like, you know, getting the most out of your money, financial literacy, savings, investing, all that jazz. Basically, I don't think, you know, the school system or, you know, our parents are doing the best job in educating us financially. So I kind of just took that on board myself and decided like I was going to teach myself everything there is about money. And then I realized, hey, I really love this. I'm doing really well. People are asking me questions all the time. So I was like, you know what, this is something I need to start talking about. And that's how I started my Instagram page, The Abundance Movement. And then I think you were on a similar path with a different topic and we sort of merged.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, I've learned so much from you already just from what you post on Instagram and like our conversations. I honestly feel like in the last, I don't even know how long it's been since I started talking to you about money, but I feel like I've improved so much already. So I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy, like seeing the money grow up. Anyway, we'll get there. In terms of my topic, so I actually, well, you know that I started off as a success and mindset coach. And it kind of started from, you know, doing my bachelor's degree in psychology and trying to figure out, okay, well, where do I take this from here? And then I noticed that as like time went on, so I've been coaching now. I started officially coaching in like January of 2020. So it hasn't been that long. And I noticed that as I'd speak to clients and as I like posted stuff on Instagram, that there was a specific like group of people or even like a specific aspect of life that I really loved coaching about. And I was like really, really interested in like the effect of time and our perception of time and how that kind of affects how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about life, how we feel about where we think we should be at any element of time. So I know that the people that feel really like behind in their life tend to feel really overwhelmed and stressed, or maybe even like use that to motivate them. But those that kind of feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing okay, it's really hard to sort of push them to like, it's really hard for them to push themselves to do the things that they need to do to create an incredible life. So I'm really obsessed with what we're now calling time clarity. And I feel like time and money are just such important aspects of success and just happiness in general. So I'm really excited to see how they merge together. Okay.
Like there is so much pressure on, you know, doing certain things at certain points of time in your life. Like oh, I just turned 25, and people are starting to be like, oh, okay, like, are you thinking of settling down soon? Or, are you buying a house? And I'm just like, oh, go away. Like, I'll do what I want when I want. Like, there
um
is just, yeah.
This is literally like, because you know that I've been with Glenn, like my boyfriend. It's going to be 10 years in November
Wow.
this year. It's crazy to me. But even when we had been dating for like 5 years or like 6 years or whatever, like I'd tell people and they'd be like, oh, why aren't you married? Like, is there something wrong? And I was just like, we're 19. I don't want to be married. Like, why is that even a
Yeah.
thing? And it's really interesting how people attach so many expectations to certain milestones or certain ages. But yeah, definitely something that
Definitely.
we'll get into. So why the podcast? Why did we choose to do a podcast over, I guess, everything else?
Yeah. So I think it's something I've always wanted to do. I love listening to podcasts. I think it's
Same.
like the best form of content. It's easy listening, it's so informative. You're getting people's like real life experiences in your ears. Like I always listen to it if I'm working out, driving, etc. And I don't know, I just feel like it was like a natural progression with time. Like we had, like Sam and I started off as coach and client, and we just used to have these amazing conversations that were just so clarifying. And I was just recommending her left, right, and center. And I was like, this woman is amazing. She's so,
You're
so
not even
informative.
exaggerating.
I'm not.
Literally every single one of my clients, like my major clients, came from your recommendation. So you've literally changed my life.
You've changed mine too.
Oh.
And I think that's why we were like, if we're having such profound conversations, like, maybe other people would benefit from listening to these sorts of conversations, because I think you and I didn't really have a lot of people in our daily life who had these sorts of conversations. So we're like, maybe we need to start a platform or a chat, like a show where people could join in on our conversations.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've noticed, especially like the people in like our age, like I mean, like early 20s, like mid 20s, or even earlier than that. I mean, sorry, later than that. There are a lot of people that want to be having these conversations, but they don't even know how to begin, or like don't even know who'd be interested in it. I know in my like particular friendship group, we've only just started talking about like investments, for example, but I was interested in that stuff like ages ago and had absolutely nowhere to get information, absolutely no idea like who to speak to about it, who to bounce ideas off of. So like our conversations, even just like friendly conversations of, oh, what do you think about this? Or I heard about this really, really cool thing the other day. Like, what's your opinion? Like has been so profound because it's given me a way to try to work through my own ideas and what I want to do with my life. So I'm really
There's
excited
something
to invite
powerful.
people.
There's something very powerful about bouncing it off someone else. And like,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Inti, do you want to give them a little bit of an insight into why you love money mastery and why you think this is like the thing that you want to teach them?
yeah. So my journey to get to this point has been pretty random. I sort of became financially independent very young. Anyone that knows me knows, I'm a very strong person, and I was financially and everything independent at 17 years old during my last year of high school. So it was pretty intense, but it forced me to be very intentional with my money, savings, and avoiding debt. I didn't really have a job, but that quickly changed. I had to go, get out to work and start scrimping and saving. And, I slowly evolved with time. I, bought my first car brand new, all by myself.
Crazy.
I've traveled to over 20 countries. I live alone in my own apartment now. And I have recently just hit a 50K net worth milestone.
Amazing.
Which is pretty cool for 25 years old. I'm pretty impressed with that myself.
Yes, I am too. That is incredible.
But basically, I realized like this was something that I was first kind of forced into, but it really became a passion of mine as I realized the power of money and the power of, getting on top of your finances, you have the freedom of choice. You know, you can choose to live alone, you can choose to travel, you can choose to leave a job that's making you miserable because you're not, you know, living week to week. You actually have a little bit of savings behind you. But yeah, basically along the way, I realized that not many people are talking about money. It's still super taboo, even in 2021. It's something that I want to just get out there more and talk about and make it very normal, because it is normal. We all need money to get by, and we all need money to buy things that will make us happy. So it's very normal. So basically, money mastery is teaching financial literacy, the basics, and then building up. So I think that mastering your money starts with learning the very basics, such as budgeting, cash flow, debt, loans, and investing. So basically, you know, getting all of this information together is your power. And I want to help people take educated action with their finances to really set up for financial independence.
So, I'm obsessed with that. Absolutely obsessed, because I feel like for me, not the low points in my life, but the points in my life where I was feeling the most stressed were the times when I didn't know where my next paycheck was going to come from. So when I felt like I had all of this stuff that I needed to pay for and I had no idea how I was going to do that kind of thing. And I think money, like you said, is so taboo. Like, a lot of people don't want to talk about money problems. They don't want to admit to their friends, oh, I wish I had more money, in a serious way, not in oh, I want more money so I can buy a brand new car or whatever, in a serious way, I want to start investing, or I want to start putting things into savings accounts. I don't know. I'm talking about this I know anything about it. I really don't. But I'm going to leave that to you. But I think that it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I think once we start having conversations about money that don't make us feel like we should be hiding in secret, then we'll be able to tap into that choice that you mentioned. I think one of the life-changing mindset shifts for me around money was that money equals limitless choice. Money doesn't make you evil. Money doesn't make you a bad person. Money doesn't mean that you stepped on someone to get to where you are. Money means you have the choice to live an incredible life, but also to give back. You know how they say money is it's what you do with your money once you have it is just a reflection of who you were before you got the money. But again, that's something we'll go into in a later episode.
So yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about, you know, what the term time mastery is for people who don't really know what that is?
Yeah, of course. So like I mentioned earlier, I started off in psychology. I had this obsession with human behavior. Why do people do what they do? When they say certain things, but then do certain things, what is the reason behind them? I wasn't satisfied with the answer my parents used to give me, oh, that's just how the world is, or that's just how people are. I'm yeah, no, but why? I was that annoying kid that would ask why 50 billion times. I'm really grateful that my parents kind of just let me ask questions and nurtured that innate curiosity in me, because that sort of led me to wanting to get into what was eventually psychology. But the thing that I didn't love about psychology, other than the statistics in my degree, was the fact that psychology had such a major focus, at least I felt, on fixing problems and curing sickness, which I'm not saying isn't a super important part of, of psychology. And of course, I myself, and we can get into another episode, I myself struggled with mental health early on. And so having a psychologist who knew what they were doing was so helpful for me. But I also feel that stigma that's attached to seeing a psychologist or seeking help stops people from seeing the potential of psychology as well, the potential to help get you to your next level, even if something's not wrong. If you want to, improve your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that something has to be wrong, but because psychology is attached to, oh, there must be something wrong in your life, a lot of people don't actually see it as that. And so
that's so true. Psychology is usually considered oh, there's something wrong with you, go see somebody.
Literally.
But it's hey, no, maybe everything's good, but you want to make it better.
Exactly. And that was the thing that kind of led me into time mastery. So I did all of the right things. Like after I focused on doing really well in high school, and then after high school, then I went to go to uni and got a degree and got $1 billion in debt. And then after my degree, I was like, okay, cool. Now it's time for full-time work. And I was not ready. I was at a place where I was like, I don't want to be a psychologist. And so I took my like mini gap year, which my friends laugh at when I call it a gap year, because it wasn't. I went and did my master's in publishing. Kind of felt like a gap year because it was just so much fun. Like I loved learning about like storyboarding, processing. But anyway, after doing that degree, I did actually get my full-time job, and I didn't hate it, but I definitely felt like there was something off. I was like, at that point I was 23, and I was just like, I'm 23 years old and this can't be what the rest of my life looks like. You know what I mean? Like the idea of once you get into a full-time job, like that's it. Like the next step is to like get married and buy a house and have kids. And I was like, this is not what life is supposed to be about. This is not enough for me. But when I'd speak to my friends, like even my best friend in the world, I remember was sitting in a cafe and I was telling her how I was feeling, and her exact words were, but that's what you're meant to do. Like, what else would you do? Like, and I was like, I wanted to shake her and be like, what do you mean? Like, this is not okay with me. Like we were talking about one of our other friends in high school who had decided to like go back to school, and to her, like to my friend, she was just like, oh, like that's so strange. Like she already had a good full-time job. And in my mind, I was like, why is that strange? She's doing something completely different. Maybe she found something else that she loved. And that was what kind of woke me up to just how important time mastery is. This idea of, you know, we all get 24 hours a day, 168 hours in a week. And what we choose to do with it is what makes up our life. You know, what we choose to do day in and day out is what creates the moments that we then look back on and say, this is what my life was like. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that especially with young people, we have this fantasy of our life starting after a certain age, or after having a certain amount of money, or getting a certain amount of experience. But then we look back and we realize that we had been living life for 20 years and we don't really have as much to show for it as we could have. And so for me, time mastery is this idea of understanding exactly what your time is, where your time is going, and what you want to do with that time. Not just in like what do you want to do with your life? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. But like, what do you want to do with your life? I want to travel and I want to have these experiences and I want to create an impact in the world. Like, what are the things that you want to be doing with your time? Not just what do you feel like, what box do you fit into, like job criteria wise or like relationship wise. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was just a lot that I just threw at you. But I think for time mastery, it's so interesting because it's so broad and there's so much we can talk about. But I think mainly is trying to figure out what is it that you want to be doing with your time based on how you want to experience your life. And I think that it's just so profound because it then means that you're living your life for you based on success on your terms versus anything that anyone else says, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's about basically reclaiming your time and, you know, not having society tell you, okay, you do this, then you do that, then you do that. It's like, no, that's not, you know, why do we have to do that? We don't. We actually have the choice. And I think it's about, you know, educating people that they can choose how they spend their time. And in combination with mastering their money, we came up with time and money mastery because, you know, they're the two, we think, most important things to really having, you know, a beautiful, abundant life.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
On the next episode, we're going to go deeper into money mastery, and we're going to be chatting all about what it is, why it's important, and how it's impacted our lives. So we're super excited to welcome you to the conversation. And if there was anything that you wanted us to specifically cover on the podcast, a topic or anything like that, just let us know. There'll be a link in the show notes, and you can record your question in voicemail or submit us the question. But that's all for today.
So that's a wrap. If you loved today's episode, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and let us know why you loved it.
If you know someone who needs to hear this, then send it their way and share it to your stories, tagging us at Time Money Mastery.
Feel like you're wanting just a little more? Jump on over to our Facebook community. You can find the link in the show notes.
That's all from us today, fam. We'll see you soon.